Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
And the day has come. It's game over for E3. Completely. Like, they're done.
Yeah, that's weird. Yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised because didn't they keep like canceling it or going virtual?
They did. They canceled it a couple of times. They took a major hit during the pandemic. And I think a lot of gamers realized that, and publishers realized they don't need E3. They don't need a big convention. Because they can do their own directs.
That's what they started doing the directs, and then they don't need this.
They don't need this. So they're shutting it down. So I have to wonder, will there come a day when San Diego Comic-Con could just shut down? Because there's no point.
I can see E3 shutting down before San Diego, but yeah.
Let's talk about this. It was announced today. Before we get into it any further, please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. Guys, you get a woohoo if you do.
Woohoo!
Let's see here. It was announced on Twitter, or X, after more than 2 decades of E3. Each one bigger than the last. It's time to say goodbye. Thanks for the memories.
Wow.
Thanks for the memories, guys. And yeah, E3, it was a huge, huge deal for the game industry for years until they basically made themselves irrelevant. But here's the article from The Hollywood Reporter. They shut down after 2-decade run as video game industry's biggest convention. So that leaves like PAX, I guess, now. The move confirmed Tuesday followed the gaming business's biggest convention and media platform canceling its 2023 edition. And I think we did a video on that, and we said that there's a very good chance that they canceled this year that they might not come back.
Yeah, well, apparently that's true.
So that's true. Put some money in the clownfish jar, guys. No, I don't know.
What this clownfish jar is and why I don't get any money?
I don't know. We could like swim in that jar, I think, at this point. It's official. E3 has been shut down as the video game industry's biggest convention and media platform for good. Now, this is huge because once Repop, I think, runs it. Mm-hmm. And 2, video games are doing better than other segments of nerd culture.
But Repop, so.
But also Repop, yeah.
Sorry.
After more than 2 decades of E3, each one bigger than the last, the time has come to say goodbye. They said on Twitter/X. The ESA deciding to close down E3 as an event followed the 2023 edition of the event being canceled after several major game developers and companies, including Microsoft and Nintendo, announced they would not be in attendance.
They don't need to be. And they don't have to play by their rules either.
No.
Like, if you want to be here, you have to do X, Y, and Z, and they're like, we'll just do our own directs. Forget that.
That is pretty much it, yeah. And look, there are a lot of discussions about their politics and all that junk.
It's way cheaper to do your own direct.
It's cheaper, just in general. And I think there is going to come a time. Look, there's always going to be a place for conventions. I think there will always be a place for fan events. But I don't think we're going to have these massive, massive events, you know, and that's going to be like the nexus of nerd culture. And I do think that there is going to come a time when San Diego is either shut down or greatly diminished. People said that last year's or this year, what year are we on? It's still 2020, right?
No, it all blends together. Babe.
Yeah, right. That this year's San Diego Comic-Con was actually one of the best because the publishers,
yes, because they were all the strikes.
Big studios were not there. Yeah, it was just comic book publishers. Yeah,
yeah, and they said it was great because it was about actual comics and not the Hollywood shoving everything into it.
Yeah, yeah. But Nintendo and Microsoft, they do their own events. They do not need. And, you know, they don't need anything like this. And gamers, a lot of times they just want to get their news online. They're not going to fly out to some event.
Well, it's such a hassle, too. And I think people, a lot of the audience for some of these things, given where it's located, don't want to be in big groups anymore for whatever reason.
That is true. That is true. So... anyway, so the trade event for the video game industry had been set to take place in LA from June 13th through the 16th of 2023, and they canceled it. That outing was also the E3 event's second attempt to return as an in-person event after the pandemic. And they said E3 faced competition from game companies organizing their own virtual events to share news and next-gen product rollouts with consumers. And as they also hosted their own direct-to-consumer live streams, such as Nintendo Directs, Sony's State of Play events, or even indie studios doing their own events, the importance of E3 as an in-person event came into question. There's really
the only reason it was kind of cool was like you could go try different games and see what was coming out and stuff like that, and you could see it in person, not just on a screen. But you know, it really was awful being time sink and money sink for a lot of companies when they don't need it.
Yeah, that's just it, you know.
And then you have to pander to certain people, and you have to, like, you know, especially the location of where it's at. I'm sure there's a lot of guidelines and rules. I'm sure there were a lot of, masking and vaccination rules and stuff like that some conventions still are doing.
Yeah.
I'm sure there was a lot of stuff going on given where its location was.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just not worth the hassle.
It wasn't. Gotta give a hat tip to 10 Legends, by the way, who sent me a link to it this morning before I saw the articles on it. Thank you. But yeah, it is a hassle. And conventions they're very polarizing now. You mentioned the mask and the vaccine mandates. And anymore, it sounds like showrunners are going out of their way to loudly announce the policies to attract certain audiences or deter certain audiences.
When you have conventions and stuff, not this one per se, but other ones that are like, well, we have all kinds of parties determined by your race and gender and everything else. I'm not saying that's this one, but other events. And
Emerald City Comic-Con,
it's just turning people off. I'm sorry. It's kind of just go look at games and have fun. No, you have to be the right kind of person and all this other stuff. And I just don't think people, and gaming's mostly online anyway and in your own house. A lot of people don't want to leave their house anyway. Like they want to stay home and play the games. They don't want to, go to LA to look at them. They want to watch it on TV and stay home so they can actually, try the stuff out.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not the same as it was 20 years ago.
No, it's
not. It's a different world.
I mean, I watch a lot of, they're talking about the Saturn announcement and the PlayStation announcement and all that. And I watch a lot of the retro video game documentaries, and E3 was huge. That's where a lot of the big game announcements were. But like you said, everything has moved to online.
Yeah. And I mean, if it was me, I prefer to stay home. I wasn't dissing anyone with that comment. That would be my preference. I could just get it all from home and not have to go there. And it's too people-y out there.
It's too people-y. Yeah, I think that
especially with people out that way.
I think that this is another blow against the video game industry and the journalism around the video game industry and the influencer sphere and all of that. Because this was the thing, like people would start blogs. I think if I remember correctly, Destructoid was started just so they could get press passes to go to E3. And like all these sites are folding and E3's done, and game studios are laying off people, a lot of them marketing people, PR people. And it just seems like this whole era of like the circus around the video game industry is kind of dying.
Well, trade shows. You used to do trade shows, okay?
I did.
You used to do this stuff.
I hated it.
How much does that stuff cost?
Oh my God. So we put in an appearance. One company I worked for, and we weren't a very big company. I mean, we had like multi-million-dollar accounts and stuff in a particular industry, but we weren't like a massive, like a Sony or anything like that. And I think we went to Vegas. I didn't get to go that, but I put the budget
they said
together.
you do the crappy ones, and they all got to go to the good ones.
I want to say it was $120,000 for like a 4-day show.
And it was a tiny little booth too.
It wasn't a very big booth, and we had to send everybody out there. We had to send the parts out there, whining and dining people, send all of our sales reps out there. We had to create collateral and everything to pass out, video production, all this crap. And yeah, all of it. And then you have to pay, when you get there, you have to pay the unions you're not allowed to like set your own booth up or cart your own stuff to the spot. Depends on the venue, but like you have to pay these guys to take your stuff there. And we wound up paying like $120,000.
And that was years ago. And that was, for a small thing. That wasn't anything like a small company.
They spend
So I can't imagine what they spend on this. But if they don't have to. If you can do your own direct and you're just showing screenshots and stuff that you've set up with people, it's going to cost you way less.
Well, and we're seeing this with comic book publishers too. Like the big publishers for a while there.
Though.
That is cute. The big publishers though, like DC Comics and stuff, they weren't going to San Diego because there's no point. Like they know they're not going to. Like, what is the purpose of going to a convention? Originally it was to get news out there and to hype up your new products, and now you don't need that. Mm-hmm. You can get more mileage out of one viral video or one tweet or one press release, but back in the day, that's what you needed. You needed all these fanzines, magazines, and people to come in. You needed the buyers from the different, toy stores or whatever to come in and actually play the new system coming out. And you don't need that anymore. You really don't. Now they just like send you a box or give you a code for a game, say, here, do it. Play it on YouTube. Mm-hmm. So it's just, and they've spent millions of dollars on stuff that would fail too. Like they'd have console launches that wouldn't go very well. They have game launches that wouldn't go very well. But press F in the chat for the end of E3. But I think we're going to see a lot of conventions, whether it's video games or anime or Comic-Cons, just go by the wayside because we don't need them anymore. It's kind of sad. really is. I mean, geeks were kind of a lonely breed to begin with. We don't get out much, and a lot of times, like you would go these things to be with your people, and now everybody's just going to go back to the basement, I guess. You know, they're not going to be with their people anymore. Anyway, are we going to wrap this up?
Yeah.
Yeah, so please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants. We'll talk later.
Bye.